Hey everybody, got another episode here for a recipe for you. It's for beef gyros or gyros or however you pronounce them. Those things that are normally lamb, they're Greek, really tasty. So I'm going to go through the full recipe, both how to cook the meat and then also the tatziki sauce, which is actually really easy and really tasty. I'm not going to be making it today because I actually made a bunch of it ahead of time, but I'll tell you how to make it. So first and foremost, what we'll need for the recipe, you're going to need beef. Now you have two options with this. You can either do stew meat, which is already chopped up, or you can get beef shoulder and slice it up yourself. It's kind of a deciding factor between people. I like the way I slice up the meat myself better, but it's really time consuming. It's a lot easier just to throw the stew meat in there. I don't care for how it's chunky on the stew meat. It's a little bit easier to make the gyros later if it's sliced. We'll get into that later. Salt and pepper. Olive oil, oregano, and lemon juice. Now, it calls for fresh squeezed, but this stuff comes in handy in this little bottle. It's just a little bit easier to deal with. So, lemon juice. And by the way, sorry about how bright it is and how it keeps getting dark. I'm getting unloaded, and the sun is right over there. So I actually put up a towel to try to block out the sun a little bit, and every time it gets dark and light, there's a truck driving by. So, okay. Anyway, so here's what the recipe calls for. It calls for 2 pounds of stew meat. This is once again at home weight. We're going to do half that. So 1 pound of stew meat. Then you're going to need 1 large onion. Oh, I completely forgot about the onion. Last thing is an onion. You need 1 large onion sliced. Now, don't really need a whole onion when we do this in the truck. We can use half an onion, which comes out perfectly. So half an onion for in the truck, whole onion for at home. Okay, 1/4 cup of olive oil. So in the truck, we're going to use 1/8 cup. And as always, I'm going to eyeball this. Now I'm going to reuse this bottle. I'm going to reuse one of my apple juice bottles that I've rinsed out. You can also cut off the top to one of the water bottles if you want to reuse that, or you use an actual bowl to mix everything. So 1/4 cup. You don't need a huge amount. The entire point actually of the olive oil and everything else that we're putting in there is actually to coat the meat and give it flavor. Not so much as the whole, oh, I'm trying to saturate it in the stuff. So olive oil calls for, let's see what it needs. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. We're going to get the liquid out of the way right off the bat. So 1 tablespoon in our case. So, 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1/8 cup in the truck, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon in the truck. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of garlic and 1 tablespoon of, 1 teaspoon of oregano. My garlic bottle broke. It fell out of the cabinet and shattered, so I got to deal with this. So 1 tablespoon of each. Now with garlic, that's about, I would say, half a clove if you're using fresh garlic. So in the case of in the truck, I would say 1/4 clove. It's okay to go a little bit overboard on the garlic. It does add a lot of flavor to it, but you don't want to go too overboard, I would say. I mean, don't put a whole thing of garlic in there, you know. You can put a clove in if you don't want to try to do half a clove. So, okay. Garlic, teaspoon of oregano. We're only doing half a teaspoon. That looks like way more than half a teaspoon, but hey, whatever, right? Salt and pepper. The salt and pepper, it actually calls for half a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So I'm going to be grinding this right in here, and it's 1/4 teaspoon and pretty much a pinch. 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a pinch of pepper. Now this does make a little bit of a mess when we do it this way, but oh well. It's a little bit easier on cleanup in the long run, in my opinion, because all the liquid is in a bottle. All I have is dried stuff to clean up. Shake that up real good. It's pretty much like a paste now. And we're going to add the meat to the slow cooker now. Now with adding the meat to the slow cooker, I'm not going to add the onion just yet. I'm going to add the meat, mix it around a bit, and then add the onion. I want to add the juice so the juice completely coats the meat. The juice that I just mixed up. And then I'll add the onion. I want to make sure the meat gets coated is the key thing. So that's why I'm doing it in this order. Wow, that is a thick paste. Because we're really trying to infuse the meat with the flavor, not so much infusing the onion. The onion will get flavor from the meat, and the meat will get flavor from the onion. There's a little bit of lemon juice to clean out the bottle with, right? Okay, there's that. And mix in the meat. Get the meat nice and coated. Once it's nice and coated, then we can add the onion. Well, in this case, we're adding half an onion. Where is, oh, there it is. So, now, with this recipe, it will come out, I figured out that I'll get about 2 to 3 gyros out of a pound of meat. Sometimes up to 4. So, I'm going to once again post with my posting on my Facebook page. I'm going to post the nutrition information. And with that, you'll see I'm estimating it at 4 servings total between 4 pounds. So I will give you the breakdown of that. I forgot to write it down. Oh, crap. I was going to tell you it, but I could pull it up, I think, on my phone while I'm recording. So I'll pull it up and do that whole fun thing. So anyway, here we go. Onion, need half of one. Should I do the big half or the small half? Because I didn't cut it in half right. I'll do the small half. Ah, screw it. I'll do the big half. I'm not going to end up using the other half of this onion anyway. So. It's all personal preference on which side you do, obviously, if you don't cut it in half personally. The onion does add a lot of flavor. I'm not a huge onion guy, but I love the flavor that onion gives. And of course, there's always the tricks for onions when you're cutting them. You know, chew gum while you're cutting them up, and you might not cry as much and everything. It is a little painful in the eyes, to say the least. I'm using yellow onions. You can use a bunch of different types, obviously. Now, with this, it says to slice it thin, but what I do is I just kind of chop it instead. I leave that centerpiece where the stem is, and it makes it so it's not as tearful. I kind of cut in from the sides. So, all chopped up, and I'll point it down so you can see how it's all chopped up there. And we just add the half the onion. Now, this is actually going to make our slow cooker a little full, which is kind of cool. Because when you just put the meat in there, it's like, oh, there's not much in there. Well, there is now. Mix in the onion. The meat's nice and coated. The onion now is mixed in with the meat. And we go ahead and plug that in, and we'll let it cook for the next 6 to 8 hours. So once again, this is another one. When you stop for your half-hour break, go ahead and do it up, get it started, or if you're getting unloaded somewhere, get it started. And just let it sit, really. It doesn't really need a lot of attention. If you stop someplace else along the way, go ahead and stir it, but you don't have to. This is a set and forget type recipe. So, that is the first part of the recipe. Second part is the tatziki sauce. So, tatziki sauce is 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt, 1 cup of dried cucumber, seeded and chopped, very small. Actually, it calls for it to be shredded. 1 tablespoon of dried dill, or 2 tablespoons of fresh dill. Quarter teaspoon of salt. 1 garlic clove minced, and then salt and pepper to taste. What I did is instead of the teaspoon of salt, I did celery salt, and I instead of the quarter cup, I did just a full, a quarter teaspoon. I did a full teaspoon of celery salt. Added a little bit of extra flavor to it. So for the you just do the cup of Greek yogurt, and if you get one of those big tub things that are about this size of Greek yogurt, I would say just use half of one, and then use either half or a full cucumber, slice it in half, take a spoon, scrape out the center of it, and that'll take care of all the seeds and everything, and then take it to a cheese grater. It'll actually chop it up real nice for you. Throw that in there. I used a whole cucumber. You don't have to. You can use a half. You can use 3/4. I would say at least half. And then you have your tablespoon of, was it a tablespoon? Yeah, tablespoon of dill. And then I used 1 teaspoon of celery salt. Just mix that in there, shake it up, stir it up and everything. And then 1 garlic clove minced up. And then you're done. And this is good for a while. This will last you through a couple pounds of that stuff. So that works out pretty well. Now I'm going to see if this will work. So I just took a look. Your total calories and everything for this is extremely low. I will post it on the Facebook. I can't pull it up right now and talk to you at the same time. So it's very, very low calories on both the tatziki. The beef total is less than 2,000 calories for all 2 pounds. For everything that's in there, it's less than 2,000 calories. So if you're talking about use a quarter of it for the recipe, that's pretty low. The last thing I want to go over real quick is when you make it. I'm using soft tacos. It calls for pita bread. Not exactly easy to find. You want to put it in there, and I just lay everything out right in the center and then roll it up in there. I put some lettuce, some tomato, put the meat on top, put the tatziki, roll it up, and then I actually wrap it up in aluminum foil like you would find on a street vendor. Reason why is that tatziki and the juices tend to leak out the bottom, so it's actually kind of annoying to deal with. So I actually wrap it up in aluminum foil or eat it over a plate so that way it can drip onto the plate. That's about everything. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what else you'd like to see. I'm actually going to be looking at doing a pork loin next. It's going to be a very, very small pork loin, but we'll see about doing that next. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, or any recommendations, please let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Talk to you later. Bye.